All right, this is We the People News. Not attorney, not giving legal advice. Okay, I'm hearsay. All right, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Just my opinion. All right. As well, use that Second Amendment. Arm yourself with knowledge. Never just look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. To be honest, there are certain groups out there that wants to harm you through the system. Okay. And they like to mislead and trick you into obligations without your full knowledge. All right. So, in instance, Nexus and a situs. Very, very important when you speak in law, of law, at law. Okay, because there got to be some type of attachment. Okay, me been once a CDL driver, truck driver, right? I got a license to conduct business on out there on the highway and byway. All right, that's a situs and a nexus attached to it for me to have permission to go out there and use that big truck. Now, even then, some of you guys believe in the separations between traveler and driver. Okay, even by logbook back in the day, I don't know about the updated version, we can log off. Let's just say I lived in Abilene, all right, and my load was dropped off, supposed to be dropped off in Dallas. Okay, now I could log off and actually travel to Abilene without being on the logbook and spend the weekend at home as long as I went back to Dallas to start my day all over again. Okay, so my situs and nexus actually was in pause in commerce because I was not driving. I was actually in traveling, and hence is the reason why I did not have to be logged in. I was conducting personal affairs. All right, I wanted to go home and see the wife and kids. Okay, that was legal in the logbooks and all that. All right, so if there's no separation, why was there a separation in that? Okay, so the citizen nexus.
What is Nexus? No, it's not the latest hybrid car. It's not a new science fiction blockbuster either. If you sell online, you may have already heard about it. If you haven't, it's probably time you did, because it could have serious consequences for your business. Nexus is defined as a connection. In this case, the nexus we're talking about is a connection you create with the state. You can create this connection by being physically located in a state or selling products to customers in a state. When this connection or nexus is established, you have an obligation to pay sales tax to that state.
And there we go. Even on your private property, they are led to believe that there's a nexus and you're obligated to pay property tax, even though the tax code specifically says in the state of Texas that there must be a form of income. Okay, so let's proceed forward.
You may be thinking, okay, so Nexus means I owe sales tax to a state. That's not so hard. You may also wonder about the different ways you can create that nexus. We're going to focus on two of the most common ways businesses create nexus. These are physical presence nexus and economic nexus. With physical presence nexus, your business or your products physically being in a state can mean you need to pay sales tax there. This may mean your office, but it could also include inventory stored in a warehouse, kiosks, attending trade shows, and even remote employees. For economic nexus, it's all about your sales. This is especially important for online sellers. Most states have a trigger or threshold that your business needs to pass. The threshold is usually a dollar amount of sales, a number of transactions, or in some cases, both. Once you've surpassed a threshold, you're now obligated to collect and pay sales tax to that state. If you feel lost, you're not alone. Sales tax is already complicated, and Nexus is another wrinkle. Find out more about what you need to know about Nexus.
All right. So, argument's sake, this is exactly what they're doing with your Second Amendment violation of your rights. All right. They're using through the business section of the dealership of your arms. Okay. And then that's the Citizen Nexus attached to that business. Well, the government is saying, ordering you to violate these people's rights and order these people to go get a permit to be able to bear arms so you can sell that to them. Okay? Because the Second Amendment says, shall not be infringed. But federal law is saying, well, the corporation cannot sell you these things unless you do these things. In order for you to buy that, now you have to comply with the corporation and go get a permit, which is a violation of your Second Amendment, by the government forcing the corporation to do that to you. All right? As well as taxes. The corporation is to pay the taxes. Well, what they did to you in plain daylight, all right, is they put a sales tax on there and it's saying you have to pay for it. Well, no, the corporation has to pay for it. They distribute the cost to you. You are not obligated to pay that tax. Okay? You're still going to pay the tax, but you was not obligated. That store is. However, they just kind of rubbed it in your face. Look, we have to pay this tax, and we're sticking you with the bill. That's all they did. And we allow it. So, we're going to get back into the Nexus, or a situs. All right, let's go through here. And I got to volume them up. And, by the way, I don't know what's going on with my storage space. Okay? But it's limited, so this will click off, allegedly. All right?
Okay, so in this video...
So, this is Jean, the Liberty Lion. She's got some great content, so go check her out. Obviously, she's got too much to put on my videos, but I'm just giving you a taste of what you see and maybe direct you to learn and educate yourself more on this other YouTube channel. Because we can't just, look just straight forward. Okay? We always got to look around us, be able to protect ourselves by any means necessary. So, let's go.
We're going to talk about situs and what situs is. Situs has to do with a lot of things that people have questions about. It has to do with standing. It has to do with rights, powers. It has to do with jurisdiction, sovereignty, liberty, authority, land, where you stand, what court you're in, and all kinds of other things. It has to do with movable and non-movables. And so I want to start by just going over a bunch of things that have to do with situs. And I think by the time we're done, you're going to have a really good idea of what situs is. So demixis, mobilia, and some other Latin words. We have said that movables are understood to have their locality, which is the situs, where their owner has established his domicile, and they cannot change the same other than along with the domicile. So if the domicile changes, then the fixed property changes,
But when it's a movable, such as your private personal items, it's a movable situs. So it's attached to the person and not the location.
So a little bit more clarification, and it may go into a little bit more detail. I did not go really deep involved in it. It was just an education deal, and I thought it was interesting on this video. So we're going to go back into a business. All right. So the assessor is allowed to go inside there and adjust the value of the business and the property, like the desks, the chairs, the machinery, and all that kind of stuff, where that adds value, even though it's separate from the building itself. Okay, where they're going to be taxed with all that stuff inside there as well to up the value of to bring in more taxes. I know some of these things are just ridiculously stupid and greedy. Okay, and which creates another situs nexus attached to other removable property. Okay. That being said, that's a little bit more clarification. I'm not an attorney, not giving legal advice.
So we have personal jurisdiction. Which government has personal jurisdiction or jurisdiction over the person? When do they have that? If you can contract yourself to them, then they can gain some jurisdiction over you and the subject matter, but only when you agree by contract. And in other ways, they gain jurisdiction. Basically, our government, the representative government, gains jurisdiction only by your will. So let's just look at some more
By your consent.
stuff. Okay, offshore trust. See foreign situs trust under trust. Reification. 1. Mental conversion of an abstract concept into a material thing. Or 2. Civil procedure. Identification of the disputed thing in a non-personal action and attributed of an in-state situs to it for jurisdictional purposes. Site. Okay, I want you to pay attention to this word because CITE is a French word, and it means a lot of different things, and it has to do with cite as in a citation, issuing you a citation. City, it has to do with sip, like sipping from a cup. It has to do with sieve, like leaking, something leaking. So to drain something, to sip from something, to take from something, to take from the city or the people of the city. Sort of like the Holy Roman See, where they build their cathedrals and they call them cities or sites, and they took from people a small amount, like a sip from their cup. Okay, so site and situs are related. Who gets to sip from your cup?
So, since there are so many different, basically different definitions, meanings to the one word, right? Well, you got to ask that judge or the claimant, which one is it you are applying and attaching this situs to my said property, right? Which ones you using? I need clarification.
Who gets to take from you? Who gets authority over you and your property? That's what we're talking about here when we talk about situs. Situs, the location or position of something for legal purposes, as in lex situs, the law of the place where the thing in issue is situated. A tax situs, we're going to go over to a quick tax thing.
All right, so I'm going to pause and start from there. That's a good place to be, right? Because now we go into property taxes, okay? Well, they're making some form of claim. You're obligated because you really don't go in there as a debt. Okay? You'll sit there and argue with the judge, and the judge will argue back with you. It's not a debt. It's not a debt. It's not a debt. Right? Well, he's going under the presumption that you are obligated. However, where's that situs and Nexus that created that when a taxpayer, under the definition of statutes, is creating income? Okay? So you don't just run in there and say, I'm a taxpayer. All right? You got to ask questions. Now, that being said, there's multi-millions of dollars attached to this. So, getting them to be honest, right? Because I'm led to believe the black robe is a bought and paid for. Okay? That's my first-hand knowledge of that. They're bought and paid for. Even when you show verifiable proof it does not apply, they still keep proceeding forward. So, they are against you and not for you. All right? But they do go for you at times to make themselves look like that there is justice. Do so, We the People News.